Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Greetings. Greetings. Peace and blessings to everybody coming into the chat. Come on in. Come on in. When you come in, go ahead, tap that like button. Make it do what it do, y'all. We were able to get up in our right minds. I pray and say and claim that we were able to do something and that we were able to be productive and be grateful and be humble and be joyful and be appreciative and be loving and be kind and be generous and be willing to sacrifice and be willing to share the good and stifle the bad, dismiss the bad, rebuke the bad, right? This is a war we're in, y'all. And the more we are mindful of that, being cognizant of that fact, will put us in a better place, in a more appropriate place for us to understand that indeed we are in a war. And when you are aware that you are in a war, then you know how to move accordingly. You prepare as such. You know what to focus on. You know what not to focus on. You know what to dismiss. You know what to be aware of. All of these things matter, right? And so, not to belabor the point, I just wanted to say greetings, peace, and blessings to everybody. Come on in. But so, when it comes to me listening to a lot of the back and forth, when it comes to content creators, people in the chat, stand buyers, people that kind of dip in and out that have something to say, there seems to be a really big imbalance in a big majority of people. And I want to go ahead and start off, even though it's not isolated to women, but because the way God designed us, and I always feel like, when the balance is upset, that usually means things are out of order of the way that God created it to be, right? In my opinion, all these ideas and opinions are strictly my opinion, right? Um, I think a lot of it comes because we have lost our way when it comes to knowing what our roles are, what our responsibilities are, what our position is in relationships. And I'm not just talking about a man and woman relationship. It can be a relationship between a parent and a child. It could be a business relationship when you're going to get a service taken care of by a business, a corporation, whatever applies, right? It seems like we're out of order there too. We go to get a specialized service because if we could do it on our own and fix the issue on our own, we would do so. But when we cannot, we go to somebody we feel we can. And usually, if you look at it from a rational or a logical standpoint, they have the upper hand. But because it has been ingrained and we have been misled to feel like the customer is always right, we don't have to go leading in respect. We don't have to go leading um, in order, right? Just at least breaking the ice. We go in with guns blazing, double-edged sword tongue. We go in there disrespecting, telling people what we want, and if we don't get that, we just won't walk away quietly. We're going to badmouth your business. We're going to put your business on social media and do what we can in order to sabotage you because I didn't get what I want. When when it's all said and done, all of this could have been avoided if I would have just been careful about my approach, or I've been more mindful about my approach, right? And so just using those as examples, I just feel like the discussion is due, right? In order for us, and I can speak from a woman's perspective, but I can also speak from my personal experiences dealing with men, seeing how men respond, and from that vantage point, I will extend an opinion on that as well, right? And so, I'm going to I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I'm not going to get up. Everybody's not going to agree. That's fine. That's fine. But I'm telling you, what we're doing overall is not working. Our core family is disintegrating overall, right? We still have, a lot of us still have the concept of core family. We still understand what it requires. We still can comprehend that there are roles, that there are positions, that there are responsibilities, that they have limitations. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have, is that we're living in a world where there are no more limitations, there are no more boundaries. It's a one size fits all. We're equal, we're men and women, we're on the same level. And therefore, because as women we have evolved in these past decades to become self-sufficient, now the roles are reversed and we can tell a man what to do. We can buck up against a man. We can demean a man. We can emasculate a man. We can insult and disrespect, because when it's all said and done, we don't depend on that man like we used to, or our forefathers did, our parents, our grandparents. And therefore, if that man walks out and he dismisses himself, we gonna be straight. Yeah, but guess what? When that time surpasses, whether we admit it or not, we're going to be lonely. We're going to miss that covering and that protection. There's going to be a feeling of lack in some areas. But I guess what it all boils down to at the end of the day is what women or men feel that that lack is worth sacrificing everything else, right? Being self-sufficient, going out and making your own money, coming home and doing what you want to do. You don't have to answer to nobody. You don't have to talk to nobody. You don't have to be held accountable for nothing, right? And so, yes, Miss Your Thoughts, two heads are always better than one, right? And so I just bid that the conversation, it won't hurt to have it when it comes to, again, me speaking from a one woman's perspective. I don't feel that men are always right. I don't feel that women are always wrong. I don't feel that women are always right. And I don't feel that men are always wrong. Again, balance is definitely the key word that we should be aiming for if we're looking at relationships. Women should not be bragging or should not be boasting about being able to do what men can do, because first of all, it's false. Second of all, it's misconstrued. And third of all, if you let it go on long enough, you're going to be delusional, right? Because the last time I checked, not only do I not have the desire to go out and change a flat tire, I know how. But if I can avoid that, trust me, that is not something you're going to catch me on camera doing. No disrespect to those that do. I'm just saying that that's not something I'm willing to take and put that on my plate and say, you know what, in order to prove a point or in order to prove myself independent and self-sufficient, if I catch a flat, honey, I'm going to be calling AAA. I'm going to be waving down a masculine looking man in a truck. It look like he got some tools. Now, trust me, I'm going to vet him when he pull up, but I'm not getting ready to just hop down and change no tire for myself. And I'm just using that as an example. Now, if it came to a survival mechanism, I do what needs to be done. But if I don't have to, I'm not. First of all, men need to feel like men. Men need to be reaffirmed as men. Men need to be reinforced that it is okay to be a man. And without interference or the possibility of being emasculated by not another man, but by a woman. And then we want to be covered. We want that same even battle playing field, right? When it comes to us in our roles, we don't want nobody tap dancing on what we got going on and what we felt we were created to be and do, and what our limitations are. So, why is it okay for us to feel like it is just the norm for us to do it to our men and then expect for them to be men when it suits us and when it suits our needs, right? Relationships are subjective, they're individualized, they're tailor made, and they are not something that is going to be a one size fits all for the rest of the population that chooses to engage in relationships. You have to think about cultural backgrounds, you got to think about their upbringing, their foundation, their if applicable religious beliefs, spiritual settings, all of these, just location, all of these things make a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, y'all.
Yin wants a yin to his yang, not a yin, 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 motorcycle ass mouth. And the only thing you're turning on at that point is a man's fight or flight response. And I promise you, you are not going to like that man. So you have to ask yourself this question: am I trying to win an argument, or am I trying to solve a problem?
Okay, so I want to address what he said, and I know it's very short, but one thing he said that really piqued my attention is a flight or fight response. First of all, a man has to go out into this world and fight everybody else, even if it's just in his mind, right? The fact is that's his reality. He's going to, because it's not his safe haven, it's not his safe place, it's not where he's comfortable. So everything external and outside of his palace, he is going to be on alert. He is going, his senses are going to be heightened and peaked. Survival mode. You're like that all day long, and then you come home and you feel like you can't turn that off with somebody that you're sharing everything with, somebody that you are going so hard for, your significant other, and if you have children, your children. Even if it's just you and your significant other, somebody's got to pay the bills. That covering physically, like the house, the apartment, the townhome, the estate, that has to be maintained and covered by somebody, right? So if he's participating in that and he's the primary one that's taking care of that, when he comes home, he's going to have an expectation that there's a safe place, that is a safe haven, that his peace resides there. And if you're a disrespectful woman, you're combative, you're always tit for tat, you always got something to say, you're always thinking of self, and you're not thinking of your significant other, of that man. You're not really concerned about what he's had to deal with all day out there outside of his safe haven. That man's going to pick that up, and eventually he's going to check out. And then if he seeks comfort and peace outside of you, now you're going to become a victim, and you're going to say, well, I do this and I do that and I do this, but were you his peace? Were you his safe place? When he came home, did he look forward to coming home, or did you make him resentful about coming home? That matters, whether people think it does or not. It matters, right? And so he seemed like he was speaking from a place of experience. And I want to play that one more time just to give it a little more context.
A man wants a yin to his yang, not a yin, 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 motorcycle ass mouth. And the only thing you're turning on at that point is a man's fight or flight response. And I promise you, you are not going to like that man. So you have to ask yourself this question: am I trying to win an argument, or am I trying to solve a problem?
That's important. Am I trying to win an argument, or am I trying to solve a problem? That's night and day. And that's also going to be such an antithesis that it's going to determine how he deals with you. If he deals with you, on what level he deals with you. Women are very good at turning the tables, becoming victims, manipulating the situation. Not discounting that men have that same ability right now, though I am focusing and speaking on women because I am one and I can relate and I feel qualified to be able to speak on that personally, right? And so when it comes to a man coming home and finding that to be his safe space, it's not the dwelling, it's what occupies the dwelling. That's why a lot of men that live by themselves don't really, they call it a man cave, but that's a nice way of saying that a man doesn't really take a whole lot of interest, typically, in his environment. That's why they call it the woman's touch, right? That's why usually the assignment goes to the woman, because the woman has the innate ability, more times than not, to create that home feeling. But it's not about the dwelling. It's about the energy. It's about the environment. It's about how that man feels about coming home. That matters. It absolutely matters, and it weighs a lot more than how the house necessarily is decorated or how it looks. It's more about when he comes home, do you have a smile for him? Can you get out of yourself long enough to say to that man, baby, how was your day? And be sincere and genuine about it, right? You really care, not because you're role playing or you feel like that's what he wants to hear. These are things that matter. And living in the times that we're living in, a lot of women, especially in the younger generation, they're not checking for that. And they're wondering why they're alone or lonely, or they're not yielding the results that their parents yielded at such a young age, 20s, early 30s. Women are not finding men that are suitable or that meet their expectations. But instead of looking at self, they are looking at the man. No accountability, no self-reflection. They're like, because I am a female, I am attractive, I keep myself up, I'm gainfully employed, or I'm a boss and have my own business, that should be enough. But I want to, place a reminder on the table. All of that in your mind may be enough, but how enough is it when you have the ratio of 18 to 20 women per one man? Because that's where we're at. And out of those 18 to 20 women, you don't think that you are in competition with anybody just because you feel in your mind that you are putting it down, and in your mind you should not be in competition with anybody else, that you should automatically be the selection. I'm here to tell you, these men are really giving women a rude awakening in this aspect, because the fact of the matter is they have realized that they do have options. Once you have options, you can set standards. Once you set standards, guess what? The ball is in your court for the most part. There's always isolated incidents. I'm talking about in general, right? And so we're going to balance this conversation out. But I feel, and through my experience, even on a personal level, allowing some transparency on my part, and I've said this before for anybody that actually, follows my page and listens to my personal experiences. I know personally what it's like to have a tongue and use it as a sword. And let me tell you, there's nothing good that comes out of that. I had to unlearn and relearn, and I had to apply certain techniques to my life, which means I had to change my whole mindset. Because at the end of the day, men have options. Men have choices that they're able to make. Women are not just automatically right because that's what you were born as. And it's such a huge misconception that we have generated an entire culture of women currently. Excuse me, y'all, my allergies are cutting up today. That rain, I washed some stuff around and I'm just lit up. So I apologize. But when I say that we are living in an illusion if we think that all we have to do is look pretty, put on a cute outfit, and then we don't have to show a man any respect. We don't have to show him any consideration. We don't have to meet him halfway. And we have the expectation that he needs to do everything for us, and whatever we do for him is optional or it's by choice. Not gonna work. Not gonna work. And as a result, we are really, it's in real time, y'all. They're beautiful young women, successful, educated, women that take care of their external temples, their temple on the outside, right? Lonely as hell. Don't have any children. Men ain't checking for them. And it's got the women thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Have you checked your mouth lately? Have you checked your attitude lately? If you think you're going to be able to navigate through this world and expect everything and give nothing, you're definitely in a matrix. You're in an illusion, right? And so I'm here to at least propose the idea or repropose the idea and the concept that your big butt, your pretty smile, and your paycheck or your income, if you a boss and got your own thing going on, they're a dime a dozen. But at the end of the day, what else separates you? And a lot of times women misconstrue what men want. Men want to be respected. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be appreciated. Men are simple. They appreciate the small things. They appreciate the minute things. They appreciate the minute things. The small things are what their woman can offer them that nobody else can, because it's tailor-made and specific for you. Even if it comes down to your favorite meal, to a hot bath or a hot shower being started, making sure they come home to a clean house. The kids aren't hungry and bickering and out of control if you have children, right? They don't have to come home and fight a whole nother war that they felt compelled to fight on the outside, even if it's not literal. Again, if men are if they're not in their safe space, then they're on alert. They're in survival mode. They're in provision mode. It's a whole emotion that as women we're not going to understand, even if we mimic them by doing it for ourselves, because we're not men, we're not built to be men, we're not comprised of men, and we don't have what men have. We're not going to be able to accurately understand what they go through on an emotional, mental, psychological, or physical level, right? So I say these things because we have to regain some balance. When I listen to a lot of the issues that go on, and I'm not in any way, let me just make a disclaimer here, I'm not in any way exempting men from being responsible, from reciprocating those same expectations, such as respect, such as consideration, such as sacrifice. But right now, because I am a woman and I see a lot of the men being shut down, emasculated to the point where they just move around. They're not dealing with that. They're not dealing with it, y'all. We're going to have to do something different. We're going to have a different approach. We're going to have to be more delicate. We're going to have to sit more in our femininity. We're going to have to really recognize that this is what we were created to be, and that we're not in competition with our men. Where do we go wrong with that? Why? Because we make a bag? Because we're able to be self-sufficient? We're not successfully raising children on our own without the fathers in the home. Granted, there are a lot of fathers that choose not to participate in that. And I'm not speaking on them. I'm speaking on the ones that want to be fathers. And if it doesn't work out between you and that father, that you don't weaponize the children against that father. That's the type of stuff I'm speaking on. Because guess what? At the end of the day, that man's going to adapt and he's going to react accordingly. But those children are going to be affected, and it's going to affect their future relationships that they haven't even been able to form yet. Talk about it. This is real life here, right? I'm talking about the men that want to be providers. They want to participate. They want to establish legacies. They want to build families. There are a lot of them out here. Now, if you're not attracting that kind of man, then guess what? It's time to start looking within and trying to figure out why and what you are doing and contributing to the point where you are not attracting that kind of man. It can't always be somebody else's fault. It's not going to always be somebody else's fault. Even if it's in your mind, you're going to end up lonely, alone, and delusional. And you're going to always be bitter because you're going to always blame other people. We cannot continue to go this route and expect to build community. That the core family and the community is the only way, with everything that's coming down the pike, with the powers that be, their agendas, their intended outcomes, things that they have been putting into play decades before we were even made aware that that was a possibility, when they called them conspiracy theories. You think that as a single woman or a single man, you're going to benefit, you're going to be in a better position to move around and combat whatever is coming down the pike? Nope. Ain't gonna happen. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't care how much your bag is. I don't care if you got your own business. I don't care how fine you are. Looks fade, baby girl. Looks fade. Them boobies sag. That booty starts getting jiggly. Them look, the little neckline and all of that. I don't care what kind of. It's only gonna buy time, but it's inevitable. Okay. And so I want to transition a little bit and say that beauty exudes from the inside out. We live in a culture where people go to other countries to get their teeth done, their booties lifted, their boobies done, whatever it is that they don't want to put the work in to do to improve themselves, that in their mind makes them more marketable. Guess what? That's going to fall too. that's going to fade as well. I've never seen, unless that 70-year-old or 60-year-old has spent a lifetime working out 6 days a week, eating right, getting enough rest, living a stress-free life as much as possible. That's a diamond in the rough. But overall, all of the things that a lot of women value, you're going to get to an age also where you're not going to have the energy to hold down businesses and jobs like you did 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Okay? So at some point, then what? You expect your kids, if you have any, to take care of you when you get old because you're old and don't have a relationship? Is that what it is? Where we at with it? Let's talk about it. We got to think a little bit further out than 3 months, 6 months, or a year. How about 5 years? When you go to fill out a job application, if they don't ask it to you anymore, guess what? On the job application, they do in the interview. At least they used to. That was one of the top 3 questions you could bank on being asked by an interviewer is, where do you plan on being in the next 5 years? What are your goals within the next 5 years? I didn't realize how much validity that particular question had. It's very important. And I think anybody seeking a relationship should be asking that potential partner the same exact question, if not 10 years out. So where do you anticipate on being in 5 years? Come on now, let's keep it 100. You walking around, and if your mouth is your impediment, if it's impeding you getting into a good relationship, a long-lasting relationship, a respectful relationship, a mutual relationship, a reciprocal relationship, it's okay to do some self-reflecting. It's okay to understand that, guess what? I'm not designed to be perfect. I wasn't created to be perfect. So for me to put that expectation on myself and think that there's nothing wrong with me and that everything that goes wrong is everybody else's problem, they need to be doing reflection upon themselves, because I'm good. We're delusional. We are delusional if you're walking around thinking that, right?